So whatever your jewelry category, whether it be the low or the high end, there are other people doing it. So one of the things that you need to really lean into is like what makes you different, and how when people experience your brand, are they noticing that difference? Welcome to Thrive by Design, the podcast for ambitious, independent jewelry brands looking to profit from their products. Get ready to make more and sell more doing what you love without spending every single waking minute doing it. Hey, and if you're a creative, fashion, or product-based business, I want to welcome you to the show. I'll be dropping big tips on launching, growing, and scaling your business so you can spend more of your precious time using your creativity to make money. You ready? All right, let's do this. Ever wonder why your digital content is falling flat? Like you're doing all the things you think you should be doing, but it's not translating into online sales? Well, there's a reason for that. Your marketing strategy and communication strategy is probably boring. So if you're ready to unlock more sales and stand out in a saturated market, join me for my Magnetic Marketing Masterclass. I'll show you my 4-step system that has helped thousands of jewelry business owners grow thriving, profitable businesses. It's free for a limited time. So head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/magnetic marketing. Well, welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews, Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy. And I am so excited about this podcast today. I am beyond thrilled because more than anything, one of my favorite things that I support you in is becoming a better marketer. And today we're going to be talking about marketing strategies that are going to support you in creating a more magnetic brand. And what I mean by that is you want to be creating marketing that actually draws people in like a magnet. So this is essential in today's day and age if you want to sell direct to consumer. And it's funny because I've been getting a lot of people reaching out to me recently who have very successful wholesale brands but are trying to break into online sales. And they aren't really sure how to do it. They've been doing Instagram for a while and probably email marketing for a while, and they just haven't really figured out that secret sauce. So today we're going to dive into that a little bit more, and I'm going to dive deep into what it really means to create a magnetic brand. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit more about this new masterclass that I'm hosting called the Magnetic Marketing Masterclass that you heard about in the pre-roll. I'm going to actually go way deeper in that masterclass to break down what this actually looks like for you. Now, the way that I always approach marketing is through the lens of the Desire Brand Effect. If you haven't picked it up yet, I wrote a best-selling book called The Desire Brand Effect, Stand Out in a Saturated Market with a Timeless Jewelry Brand, and it's available on Amazon in most countries, so you can pick that up and grab it. If you, for some reason, can't find it in your country, we are happy to get you a digital copy. You can just reach out to my team, and we're happy to support you in that. Anyway, this is going to be based on the way that I approach marketing from the Desire Brand Effect methodology, which has 3 phases. So the first phase of that is creating desire for your brand. The second phase of that is sharing desire, and this is all about your marketing and sales. And the third part of this is scaling desire, and this is about setting your business up so that it can grow with the back-end systems that are going to help you scale. So from a messaging perspective, the 2 most important parts, or really the most important part, is this creating desire. And this is where we get to dig really deep into what I call the desired sharing proposition, which helps you understand what makes your business and your brand different from all the other jewelry brands out there. And so we're going to talk about some things that you need to be considering and thinking about, and how you're positioning your brand. So one of the things that I've been really leaning into lately is understanding desire and because jewelry is something that's desired, right? It's not something that anyone for the most part needs. I've used this example over and over again because no one really needs jewelry unless you're wearing a medical bracelet. I used to talk about this in the beginning. So if you designed cool medical bracelets, awesome. But that's for the most part. Most people don't need to wear jewelry. They wear it because they want to wear it. So what are the reasons why they want to wear it? Well, there is some sort of connection that happens when they experience your brand. So that might be the level of service you offer. It might be obviously your jewelry. They're going to love that. It might be your messaging, your brand story, your approach, the values that you stand for, what your mission or your vision are, if you have philanthropy incorporated in your brand. Also, why you started this business in the first place. Was there a reason for that? And I think people miss this a lot because they aren't really clear on why they got into they're like, I just started jewelry, but there's always a deeper reason. It's usually to take their mind off something, or to have a creative outlet, or to overcome some sort of addiction or issue. Like, I know for me, my origin story is that I started making jewelry because my mother passed away, and the circumstances that led to me taking that first jewelry making class all had to do with her passing. My why in my current business is because I wanted to use my intuition to be able to design pieces for people who lost a loved one. And so I started this branch of my business where I was redesigning heirlooms, family heirlooms, because this was something that I had to do for myself when my mother passed away. And then I also launched into the bridal market because I wanted to be a part of people's story. So there's a lot of different reasons why you may have started it, and there's so many reasons why you might have started your jewelry business. Maybe it's financial independence. Maybe it's because you wanted a creative outlet for your experience. Maybe it's for a deeper reason. Like, all those things are valuable and important. So when you can really get clear on what makes your brand unique and dive deep into that, that can be part of your magnetic marketing strategy. And what I mean by that is, inevitably, when you have something that is deep and meaningful to you, those same things are deep and meaningful to other people. And it doesn't have to be like this big drawn out thing. It could be just something even more general that you want to help people express their individuality and their style, because there's a lot of different reasons why people buy jewelry. But what I really want you to think about is, like, what are the things that matter to you and what makes your brand different? And another part of this is having a very strong brand promise. So an example of a strong brand promise, like, we can look at someone like Kendra Scott. Her brand promise is to do good in the world. So here are a few more examples. Like, if we're using that heirloom redesign example, a brand promise might be creating memories that last generations, because these are pieces that will be passed down through different generations. Maybe if you have an eco-conscious brand or eco-luxury brand, one of our previous students, Garden of the Sun, Mary Geraldine, she would plant a tree with every purchase. So hers was really having this ecological aspect of that brand promise. That was really her philanthropy. But, when I think of that, I think of her alignment with doing good for the environment. And so if you want to go a little bit deeper with this first step, what you want to be thinking about is what makes you different from your competitors. Now, I hate to say it, but there are thousands and thousands of fine jewelry lines. There's thousands and thousands of people doing heirloom redesign. There are thousands and thousands of people who are designing, probably millions of people designing handmade jewelry. So whatever your jewelry category, whether it be the low or the high end, there are other people doing it. So one of the things that you need to really lean into is, like, what makes you different? How is your design philosophy separating you? And how, when people experience your brand, are they noticing that difference? And this really comes down to how you're identifying the benefits instead of the features of what you're designing. So an example of this might be, for instance, if you're designing custom jewelry like I do, some of the benefits might be that people get a personalized experience, or they have something that no one else will ever have, or that you pay a high attention to detail and they're going to get a high quality product. Or if you design something like my head coach Chelsea does, she designs beaded gemstone meaningful bracelets and other types of jewelry. And one of her brand positionings and benefits to her customers is that she offers size inclusivity. So the bracelets are made specifically for the customers, whether they're smaller or larger. And this allows her to really tap into a market that not a lot of people are doing. She's also based on family values and living on a farm and enjoying the animals. So there's a lot of different ways to approach this, and really important. Now, step 2 is know thy audience. This is really, really important. So when you can understand the different segments of buyers that you have, not just who your dream customer is. I just did a deep dive brand analysis with one of my VIP clients. We're starting to offer in-depth brand audits and brand strategies where we go dive deep in helping brands understand not only who their customer segments are, but how to speak to those customer segments across the board with their marketing. And when I was working on this brand strategy, we identified 5 different buyer personas and the motivations for why those different people would be buying from them. And this was for a fine jewelry brand, but if you're thinking about the general market when it comes to the holiday season, if you understand the different customer segments that you have, like you might have a gift buyer, like someone who's buying gifts. Typically people buying gifts, unless it's like a husband for a spouse or someone with a really big budget, they're looking for things under $100, sometimes even under $50 to purchase. If you don't design jewelry in that price range, I'm not suggesting that you lower your price points or create gifting items if it's outside of what your brand stands for. But if you are someone who caters to gift buyers, what does that segment look like for your brand? Now, another segment might be self-purchasers. Like a lot of people buy for themselves during the holiday season. You know, they're either see something they like for themselves, or they're buying deals, or they're stacking up on, you know, the holiday season, whatever. So think about those self-purchasers, like what's going on in their head and what matters to them when it comes to buying. And then maybe it's a first-time buyer, someone who's buying from you the first time. Like what matters to them? What are the desires that they have? And so if you can dive deep into those customer segments and get really clear on who they are and what they stand for and what matters to them in their buying process, this could change everything. So think about all the different types of people that have purchased from you in the past. And these are the ideal people that you want to work with, because even though in things like our Laying the Foundation program, we talk about identifying just one dream client in the beginning, ultimately over time, you're going to have different types of customer segments. Like I have a customer segment who is a self-purchaser. This person usually is finding stones when they're traveling or something like that, where they want something special for themselves. The avatar for this is my friend Lee. Lee is a single woman in her 50s who loves jewelry and has purchased many pieces of jewelry from me over the years. Now, the next segment would be someone who is coming to me for an heirloom redesign. That segment is usually someone who's lost a loved one recently. They've inherited some stones. They're probably grieving a little bit, and they want to recreate a special piece of jewelry with the pieces that they have in their arsenal. And my third segment would be people who are getting engaged. And typically this segment, actually all the segments that I work with, the thing that matters to them the most is that number one, they're getting a personalized experience. Number two, they're getting something that no one else is going to have, that this is a custom piece of jewelry. They value individual style. They value a high touch relationship. They want it to be easy. These are all things that matter to them. So think about your customer segments, what matters to them and what is going to help them in that experience. And then when you're thinking through the lens of the holiday season, how can you design holiday specific personas based on these people? So if you can create detailed customer personas on how these people are shopping during the holiday season, you can start getting into their shopping behaviors, their motivations. Like, are they advanced shoppers? Are they last minute shoppers? Like maybe you have both of those segments in there. And how can you actually support and help them along the process of creating those messaging? Because if you can understand what they care about and what matters to them and what motivates them to buy from a true desire standpoint, then you've won half the battle. So think about this. Like, and even you can even ask some of your previous customers who come back from you over and over again. Now, the third step of this is creating magnetic or irresistible messaging. And this really dives deep into understanding the emotional reasons why people buy jewelry. People don't buy jewelry because they need it. They buy it because they want it. So what are some of the reasons why people would buy jewelry during the holiday season? So let's break this down. So if we're thinking about messaging that would resonate with someone who is buying a gift for their partner, like a husband buying something for their wife, what are some of the reasons or the emotionally resonant messages that people would buy? It might be to deepen their relationship. It might be as a milestone that's meaningful. It might be to mark an important step in their relationship together or the next phase of their life together. Or it might just be something that will create a memory that will last in time, and these pieces can be passed down to their children later. So let's dive deep into some of the reasons why people are some of the emotional reasons why people buy jewelry. Well, first, it might be to express love and connection. This is an important part of that, as in the example that I just used. It might also be a way to create a memory. It's like, it's this year. What is important about this year? Maybe it's marking a specific milestone or commemorating the holidays for this year. Maybe it's to strengthen the relationship. Maybe it's something that, if you have a friendship and you're buying a gift for a friend, it might be a way to recognize that friendship or create a bond. This is really cute. I had some friends in New York, and they were all like really best friends from a very long time, and they all had like friendship rings, and they bought them for each other during the holidays that one year. And so there's a lot of different ways that people are buying and commemorating friendships through jewelry, right? Now, another thing that you might want to think of is, how does this commemorate a milestone or achievement? So when I think of this, I think of someone who might be purchasing a piece of jewelry for themselves. Like, it's the end of the year, you crushed it this year. Here's a way to commemorate 2024 with this piece of jewelry, right? So how would you speak to someone like that who was wanting to commemorate a special period in time? Now, this is something that I think probably lands and resonates with a lot of people, especially people who own businesses. Owners of businesses are buying gifts all the time for their team members. So the messaging and motivation for buying for this is to create an opportunity for them to express gratitude. Now, I was working with one of my VIPs, and she was saying that they are putting together corporate gifting guides. And this is such a brilliant idea, especially if your price point is right, because if you have people who are tapped into corporations or businesses that are local, you can literally reach out to those businesses and offer them your gifting services for their business. Maybe they order, 30 pairs of the same earrings for the women who work at the organization or whatever that is. There's a lot of different ways to approach this, and it can make it really easy if the messaging is right on how you're approaching this, if you have specific products that work really well in the gifting category. From a family perspective, there are a lot of people who buy jewelry because they want to pass it down through generation, and it becomes a tradition to give jewelry during that holiday season. Now, when I think of this, I think of Erin Pellicano. She was one of our first students way back in the day, and she was one of the first people that developed generational jewelry. And what I mean by that, it's like jewelry that would be bought in packs for like mother, daughter, granddaughter. And these are milestones that can be added to later, or buying like charms for a charm bracelet. Like, I remember when I was a kid, that was really big. We would get charms every year for Christmas to put on our charm bracelet. And I know a lot of people have charm necklaces now. So this is a way to create a collectible heirloom that's passed down through different generations. Now, another thing to think about is that during the holiday season, there are lots of parties, and people want to dress up for parties. And this is a huge opportunity for people to buy jewelry that is specifically suited for the holiday season celebrations. So they might be self-purchasing jewelry for themselves to wear on New Year's Eve or to wear on Christmas Day. You get the picture. And so even though we're talking about this at a high level, when you're thinking about the different buyer personas that you have and the reasons why they're actually buying jewelry for someone else, you can start to craft stories about this. So think about like a husband giving a wife like a milestone piece of jewelry or whatever that might be, and the memories that are created. You can literally create a story around that gift-giving experience that puts someone, this couple, this guy, in the center of the story about how his wife is going to be so happy at the end of the day. So use storytelling in your campaigns to share the story of what that brand is about. Or if you are going to be selling jewelry for people who are buying gifts for their friends, you can talk about how your BFF ring is the thing that's going to develop that long-term relationship with your BFFs and help them remember this season throughout the generations. Maybe it's something about having confidence at that New Year's party because you're single and you're going alone and you're trying to attract that man, like how these earrings are going to reflect that vibe that gives you the confidence to call in the person who is going to be your perfect life partner because you have the confidence to show up in your essence and uniquely yourself. Or maybe it's speaking to the corporations, like, let me make corporate gift giving easy. The women on your team are going to love these heirloom necklaces that remind them of how grateful you are for having them on your team. It's like showing your gratitude every single day. So you can do this throughout the different types of customer segments that you're going to be working with or selling to. And think about like, what are some ways that you can share stories or put them inside the story and use that in your marketing and your messaging. And step 4 on this is to identify your core marketing channels. We don't necessarily want to focus on everything. We want to focus on the core marketing channels and develop promotions across those channels. So part of this is understanding like, what is my holiday plan? And then how can I create the marketing and the magnetic messaging that is going to speak to the desires of my customer segments across those marketing channels in the way that it can be heard. And so when I think of important marketing channels for the holiday season, obviously social media is going to be super strong. And for most jewelry business owners, they're going deep into Instagram, which is a really powerful way. And if you're using other social media channels like TikTok or Facebook, awesome. Then I highly recommend always to have a Pinterest strategy, especially if you're selling online. Your Pinterest strategy is going to be important for gift giving. And I would start doing roundups and gift guides and driving people to your blog and your traffic and all those things and create messaging around the customer personas, that we just talked about. So let me talk about this for a minute. So if you have a husband buying for a wife, or a partner buying for a partner, whatever you want to say, 5 pieces of jewelry that your wife will swoon over, or top 5 jewelry trends for the holiday season 2024, or 10 ideal corporate gifting items for the women in your office. Like, think about these different segments. And although those aren't like perfect, like there's different ways to approach this that can be super helpful in driving traffic and elevating your messaging. And then think about the buying habits that are happening at this time. You have different kinds of buyers. Like I think of Jason's mom, and she literally buys all of her holiday gifts before Black Friday even happens. Like, it's done in November before December even starts. So the holiday season is starting earlier and earlier the more we think about it. So those are like the early bird shoppers. Then we have the discount shoppers who are looking for Black Friday deals. So if that's your segment, like, think about who they are, get them prepared and ready to go. And then you also have, the mid-season buyers or as they go buyers, which is probably the fewest amount of people. And then the last minute buyers, like these are curbside pickup people. These are people who are, scrambling. It's usually guys trying to buy something for their wives. And I remember when I was dealing with a lot of men in New York City, I would be like, okay, season's coming up. Do you want to get something custom? And that's why I never really specialized in holiday gifts, because a lot of times they'd reach out to me like a week before Christmas. And I'm like, I do custom work. I can't get it done that fast. And the jewelers are so busy at that time. So if it's not done by this point, then we don't have anything for the holiday. So I try to have a couple of things on hand that I could just sell them. But usually they're coming to me for custom work. So keep that in mind too, and get ready for those types of things as well. Now, finally, if you're selling online, you definitely want to have an email marketing strategy. Email is not dead. I'm not going to lie, it is a little bit more competitive now because everyone is emailing. Everyone's kind of like got onto this. And deliverability has become more challenging with all these iOS updates and changes to the Apple platform and Google platforms and all the things. But email marketing is still a great way. That's why so many people still market like crazy with email marketing. And if you can figure out SMS, this is a great strategy too. So you can literally leverage kind of the same principles across your social media channels, across Pinterest, across your email channels. I didn't necessarily talk about wholesale because you're working with stores, and if you already have successful wholesale accounts, you understand that people are buying for their holiday orders right now in August and September as I'm recording this. And later in the season, unless you already have established accounts, it's a little bit too late to start getting into wholesale. It's kind of like the season's already here and it's time to just produce the orders. So I typically recommend that if you don't have the wholesale orders booked by September and you don't have those landed, it's probably best to just focus on your direct strategy and markets and those types of things to grow your business. All right, so let's recap what we spoke about today. The first is to define your desired sharing proposition, or what makes your brand different. These are all of the indicators that can kind of get into like the brand positioning aspects that make you different, but also the things that are actually matter to your customers as well. The second step to this is to know thy audience, getting clear on those customer segments and understanding what is the motivation for those people to buy. And then when you understand what motivates those people to buy, then you can develop emotionally resonant messages that land with them. So you can dig deep into their buyer psychology, you can dig deep into desire points, you can dig deep into the reasons why it would be important for them to buy, and then start using storytelling to put those customer segments or personas inside of the center of that story. And then decide on your marketing channels and how you're going to promote, create a plan around that, and then maximize your visibility across those platforms, understanding how consumers shop during the holiday season. So we have the early birds, we have the sale shoppers, we have the people who just buy during the regular holiday season, which is probably the least amount of people. And then we have the people who are the last minute shoppers who are buying like on Christmas Eve or the day before they need to give something. So think through all of those different personas, and there you go. All right, thank you so much for listening to this episode today. If you haven't registered for the Magnetic Marketing Masterclass, if you want to learn more about that, we're going to be diving deeper into these topics so that you can increase your visibility, monetize your creativity, and turn your passion into a profitable business. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/magnetic marketing. All right, this is Tracy signing off. Until next time. Are you ready for consistent, predictable jewelry sales? Our signature program, Laying the Foundation, is open for enrollment. This program has changed the game for thousands of jewelry business owners. We'll show you how to become a magnet for new dream clients and turn them into loyal, raving fans with our desired brand effect framework. Whether you have a side hustle and want to bring in some extra income to pay the bills, take your family on vacation, or just have a little bit more fun, or build a six-figure full-time brand, this program is the exact formula that you need to thrive. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com and join us before enrollment closes.